Greeting and welcome to the Intensive Success Growth. I'm your host, Nishant Sharma. Please give warm welcome to our guest, Debbie. Debbie is a spiritual coach, author. Welcome, Debbie, to myself.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who were you surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
Okay, good question. I was a mental health and drug and alcohol counselor for 18 years. And two things happened. I asked myself, even though I love doing what I do, helping people, I asked myself, is this what I'm going to be doing the rest of my life? And the second thing that happened is I was having some conflict with family members. And I started asking myself, what am I doing that is creating pain in my life? Why am I having this conflict? That led me to go to a personal development training. And while I was at that training, it was the first time I meditated. And in my mind, my mind just opened up and I had a spiritual awakening with Jesus. Now, I'm Jewish, so Jesus was not even on my radar. So it was a very interesting awakening because I didn't understand it. I was not following spiritual development in any way. And basically what happened within this meditation is Jesus started to heal me. Heal a lot. I have a lot of trauma background. And so it was the most amazing, loving experience that I have ever had. And it never stopped. Once that happened, then there was much more spiritual conversation, God, angels, and teaching me, basically transforming me, healing me, transforming me from the inside out, a restructuring of who I thought I was and teaching me my divine identity versus what the ego taught me about myself. And that is how it happened. And it's been an amazing 8 years since that happened.
So, what's the reason? Why do people fail?
Why do people fear?
Fail.
Fear? Okay. Because we have this ego sense of ourselves, which the ego creates a false identity of who we are. And it is filled with a lot of misbeliefs, based all in fear. And we grow up thinking that that's our own voice, and it's not. It is just there as part of our incarnation journey, that this voice accompanies us, and it is part of a helper in delivering contrast to ourselves so that we can keep awakening to the divine consciousness and love that we are.
So, what's your greatest failure story? What did you learn and how did you recover from it?
Well, I would say that my biggest failure story was probably listening to ego too much and really not understanding my self-worth. I didn't honor myself. I was stuck in my trauma identity and felt unloved, and nothing could be further than the truth from that story. And so I would say my failure story was not really embracing and knowing who I was, because I kept looking outside of myself for that identity, for that love, rather than finding it. It's all inside of you. So recovering from that was all God's doing, was loving me and teaching me and bringing my awareness up to where it needed to be.
What's your success secrets that other can model from you?
This has taken a long time for me because I was such a control person and I thought I had to make everything happen. And I would be banging down doors to make things happen, because I didn't understand that there was God living through me and actually creating the life that I'm supposed to have. So one of them is letting go of control. And it's easier to do that when you have a connection with divine love. So I think that has to come first because that helps you let go of control and then allowing it to lead you, knowing that that energy is beautiful, loving, and only wants your happiness.
Yes, right. So what motivates you within?
It is all divinely motivated. Of course, the ego is always trying to motivate me to do this and do that and the next thing. But after I had awakened in 2014, within 2 years, I was given 3 books, and now there's 9 books. So I am divinely motivated by all the creativity that just keeps coming through me and wanting to publish what I've been given.
So what's your company motto?
Guiding you to the divinity in your life, in your heart, where all healing, love, light, passion, and purpose live.
Okay. Who is your ideal client?
Well, that's funny because I would prefer working with people that have some kind of spiritual belief system. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what somebody believes. But it is much more difficult to work with somebody that has absolutely no spiritual belief system at all, that doesn't believe in anything else other than themselves. So it's easier for me to work with a client that has any kind of foundation of spiritual awareness. However, I know whoever contacts me has been divinely driven, divinely organized, and that is the client that I'm supposed to be working with. And yet, because I believe that all of the outside world is a mirror of your own self, of your internal dynamics, I believe whoever shows up is just another aspect of myself that needs to be healed.
So how do you find your ideal client?
Well, I used to advertise, and when I was a therapist, it was very easy because there's a market and you advertise in a certain way. But as I've gone on and changed into a coach, I have not marketed myself as much as one would, and advertising and trying to get clients. I just know that I'm brought whoever I need to see. And I'm really very content in that. I'm very content in knowing that, because I'm very focused on publishing my books, and that takes a lot of time. So that is what I'm doing for the majority of my day. But when a client comes, I know it's divinely organized and that it's perfect.
Okay. Mostly your client comes through your books.
It comes from my books or my past experience as a licensed therapist. That people still know me. My name is still, I have a website. Also, I do a lot of posting on social media. I love making memes of the quotes that God gives me. And so people see those too.
Okay, mostly clients come through organic or
Mhm.
organic method.
It's all organic.
Okay.
Mhm.
So how do you deliver five-star client experience?
How do I deliver it? Well, the way that I practice doing coaching or therapy with a client is divinely connecting them with their own spirituality, with whatever they believe, whether that's God or divine love or any kind of spirit or Buddha or whatever it is that they believe in. That I bring them to a place through meditation that connects to them with that. And then I know that everything is being divinely led from within me. And so they are getting a very individualized personal experience. And then they're being healed from the inside because of that connection that I create with them to start depending on learning that they have all the answers and healing within themselves, that they don't have to keep relying on somebody else to make that happen for them.
Okay. So what's the duration of your coaching?
What is, I'm sorry, say it again?
What's the duration? Like how many months you hit?
In working with a client?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Well, in the past, when I was doing therapy, it could be years. Sometimes now, somebody comes in for one time, for two times, for five times. It is so individual. It's what that person needs at that moment. So it's no more me dictating that you need to be here for 3 months or 5 months or a year. It's about your experience and what you're getting from it. And for people that have a lot of trauma background, because what my goal is to help heal and to have them improve the quality of their life by creating this divine connection for them, or if they already have one, to actually really cementing that and making it even more expansive than it was before. And it is based on whatever anybody needs. It's a completely different way of coaching people or working with them, rather than them feeling like, there's a time limit. And basically there is no time limit. You're growing your whole life, right? It's a journey. You're learning constantly, you're healing constantly, you become more aware constantly, you become more in touch with your divine identity than your earthly identity. Your heart keeps expanding.
How do you crush your competition?
I don't compete.
Yes.
And in the past, that was something I worried about, because when this has been a journey for me of growth, of letting go of all of those earthly ways of looking at life, and how you have to struggle and you have to compete, and that there's not enough for everybody, that there's scarcity, which is all part of an ego belief system that's not true. And understanding that I don't have to compete. I just have to be me. I have to do what I came here to do, and that's enough. I'm enough. I don't have to be something else or do something else to make me better. And it's taken me a long time to let go of those belief systems and practice them. And it's not like I don't get tempted, because the ego is always there trying to grab your attention again, and do this and do that. And you got to do this and you got to do that. And there's no truth to it. All it does is make you crazy. So, and stressed.
Yes.
So I don't compete anymore.
Okay, means you have competition with yourself.
Yeah. Well, yes, that's what the ego provides. Yeah. But I try not to feed into that anymore.
Yes, yes, right.
Better, bigger, bigger, more and more. And, this is a journey filled with miracles and abundance and blessings, and your ability to create which is so powerful. And just allowing that to flow through you, whatever it is that you're supposed to do, rather than believing you're doing it yourself or you're making it happen. It can be effortless.
Okay. How do you start your day?
I start my day with about a half hour of meditation. Every now and then I have other things to do, and I don't get that in, but if I don't meditate, I don't feel as grounded as I can the rest of the day. And that is talking with God and asking what it is that I need what could be a focus of the day, and or whatever God wants to share with me for the day. And I will tell you, most of the time it is just to be happy. That's all that you're asked to do, is to be happy. Because if you are happy and in your joy, and this is really interesting. He told me yesterday, and he's told me this lots of times, but he said, allow my love to permeate you, and then live the day through that. Live the day through that. So you're living in complete love. And that is joy and peace and contentment and creation and everything wonderful. And the more that you live in that state of being, your life shifts without you having to do anything but really accept that. And then whatever you feel like doing then as an action or creating, you're doing it out of a heart's desire, and not because you're afraid you're going to lose out on something.
So what are you grateful for today?
I am grateful for being spiritually awoke every single day. The day that Jesus woke me up, that was magic and changed my life drastically. And I am grateful for that awakening.
How young are you?
I'm 64.
You are not 64-year young. You are 18-year young with 46-year experience.
Yeah. I feel young. Sometimes not so physically, but that shifts all the time. But I do feel young. I do feel alive, and I hope to live a really long life.
Okay. Who is your living mentor and what's the impact?
I have studied with Dr. Barbara DeAngelis and Dr. Margaret Paul in the past. And both of them have helped me in understanding more of what was happening inside of me. When I was awakened spiritually, I had no idea what was happening. And it found it very confusing of where, when you're spiritually awoke, well, this is happening anyway, whether you're conscious of it or not, is that there's a deconstruction process going on within you of the ego, of the false self, and then a reconstruction of who you truly are. And when this started to happen, even though I was having conversations with Jesus, I did not understand why I was going through this, or why I can hear and see divinity. Like most people don't talk about that. And so that was very helpful in spending time with both of those teachers. And now, every now and then, I really enjoy Matt Kahn, and so I follow him at times. But what I learned is it's really helpful to have outside help, but it has to come from inside, because nobody else knows your journey. People can give you snippets of what they think is happening in your journey, but all that information is inside of yourself. So it is constantly driving yourself back inside and getting clarification of the questions that you have.
What advice you will give younger yourself?
Hmm. That you're amazing, and you don't know it, and that you're loved more than you can ever imagine, and that you're going to do great things and help a lot of people.
How can he support you?
Well, actually, this is a support, right? Doing an interview is a great support, and getting another message out to people that there's another way of conducting your life other than what you're taught in what you learned from Earth, from family, from society.
Okay. What would you like to say about your guest experience on this show?
It's been lovely. You have a lot of interesting questions, and it makes you think about things, about how you're living your life, and I think what is interesting is that most of your questions are also, they're kind of geared to how people do things today in an earth manner. And so I find it really interesting that I could bring some spiritual understanding to those questions, because most people are feeling like like they have to succeed, and they have to do, and there's usually some kind of vision inside of you, like I call it, like something's been placed on your heart divinely, and so you have a vision or some awareness of what that is, and you're constantly saying, whoa, I gotta go do that, then I gotta achieve it, I have to make something of myself, and you do it in such a way that is stressful instead of fun and peaceful. And I say effortless, it doesn't mean that you don't learn something new or you have to put some effort in, but it's not that same kind of stress of where you feel like you're doing this by yourself, because you're not. So I think it's interesting to bring some different ideas or concepts of looking at who you are, and really looking at what's driving you, because the ego is always driving you.
What's your final word?
My final word would be to go inside and connect with the love of your life, because what you ultimately find is that divine love, that divine voice, is you. You are one with that, and that is what has, you are the creator, and you are its creation, and you are loved, and that you're always safe, that you're eternal, that this is just you want to call it a virtual experience, a physical experience of what you think what life is. You're really experiencing all different levels of your consciousness, of awareness, and that it's like taking what I had said earlier about what God keeps saying is, let my love permeate your being, and live from that safety, live from that joy, live from that love, live from that creativity, live your life in a way as such as you're safe, and that you already are everything that you hope to be. That I also want to say something about the belief in separation from divine love, from God, whatever you call spirit. That has created a lot of trauma for people, is believing in separation, that you're alone. And that itself needs to be healed. And then all of the experiences that people have had throughout their life that were scary or traumatic or negative. And then that's going to be different from person to person because they all define trauma differently. All of that can be healed and moved out of that story of victim consciousness and really step into who you are, your divine identity. And it is the most remarkable experience that you will ever have. So my whole purpose is connecting people to that love and letting them know what's inside their own self, who they are.
Thanks, Debbie, for sharing your wisdom with us. On the behalf of our team and community, we really appreciate you. Until the next time, all good wishes to you.
Thank you.